Hi there, it's Marlene Helema from ImageMaven.com. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the i.Dynamic setting in your Lumix camera. I'm going to be using the Lumix G9 to show you. Welcome back, subscribers, and if this is your first time here, thank you for watching. I make videos about photography, photo editing software, lighting, and Lumix cameras. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. If you're a Lumix camera owner, you might have noticed the i.Dynamic setting in your menus. Now, this setting was introduced to Lumix cameras several years ago. I even have it on my Lumix GH3. i.Dynamic is best for outdoor photography when your tonal range exceeds what the camera can normally capture. When you use i.Dynamic, contrast and exposure will be adjusted automatically. So contrast and exposure are compensated when the brightness difference between the background and subject is great. i.Dynamic works in program mode, aperture priority mode, shutter priority mode, mode, and manual video mode. i.Dynamic doesn't work when HDR is set. It works for videos as well as JPEGs. Now, if you shoot RAW files, you'll have to make these adjustments to your RAW file. So you know what? If you're totally new to this setting, why don't you shoot RAW plus JPEG to compare what the camera can do automatically to what you can do adjusting your RAW files. Let me show you how to set it up and how it affects your photos. So set it up by going to page 2 of the camera menus, and this is on the G9, but you probably find it on any Lumix camera. And you can choose low, standard, high, or auto. So what I suggest you do is get a scene that has a high dynamic range and set up your camera and get into the i.Dynamic settings and take a photo at each setting, low, standard, and high, and see the difference that it makes. And you also might want to play with the auto setting and see if that is going to give you enough of a boost in your dynamic range so that you can capture good photos. Now, one thing I did find is that in the high setting, I found that sometimes in the deep shadows, it opened them up quite a bit, which is what I wanted, but it also gave them blue color, which makes sense because shadows are cooler in the white balance. So you will get cool shadows where the rest of your photo, instead of getting a black shadow or a really dark shadow, you'll get a light shadow that's cool. So that might not look natural in your photos. So keep that in mind as well. And like I said, testing is the best way to do this. What I do sometimes is I just leave it on auto and let the camera decide what is best. And when you review your photos, you'll see what the camera chose. To see what settings the i.Dynamic was set at when you're reviewing your photos, you have to go into the playback menu of your photos and hit display 2 times, and you'll see the I menu coming up. And right now in this image, it's off. So we're going to scroll through some images, and there you go. You can see that that was at the low setting, and that is the standard setting, and this is the high setting. So we just keep scrolling through some images. There it's off, there it's low, low, low. This is standard, and this is high. So you just scroll through, and I took a bunch of images at the skate park one day, and it was the sun was quite low in the horizon, so there's lots of deep shadows. And of course, these are all at the high setting. There, this one definitely would have had a really deep shadow right in there. These i.Dynamic settings can also be applied to your video. So here on this video, it's off. On this video, it's on standard, and this is off. And this is standard, high, off. Let's have a look at some of these images on the computer to see what areas of shadows and highlights that this affects. None of these images have had any extra edits done to them. They're straight out of the camera. So here we have some images, and this one is with the i.Dynamic off. This is low. This is standard. And this is high. Here's another angle of the skate park with lots of shadows and highlights. So this is i.Dynamic off. This is low, standard, high. You can see the difference that it makes between high and off. It's quite huge. Different skate park, different day. One of the things I was talking about is see how the shadows here, they go blue. Normally your shadow would be quite dark and you wouldn't see that it has a blue tone to it, and that's because it's in the shade, so it's going to be cooler color than the sunny part of the image, which makes sense. So these are all high, so you can see that this whole area of shade stays blue. So if you are doing some photo editing to these, you might have to warm them up. I use i.Dynamic when the tonal range in my scene is really great. So let's say it's a bright sunny day and I'm shooting at the skate park and I have deep shadows, but I also have bright highlights coming off the concrete and the pavement. Well, that about covers the topic of i.Dynamic in Lumix cameras. If you have a Lumix camera, make sure you check it out for yourself. Play with it, take some test images and see how it improves the quality of your images. Like I said, this is mostly for outdoor use when you're dealing with a wide tonal range and you want to change the contrast and the exposure automatically. Thank you for watching, and if you'd like more tutorials on Lumix cameras, specifically the G9, check out my playlist here, and otherwise check out other videos that I have on all topics on photography, photo editing, and lighting. See you next time.